Hello and welcome to Game Buzz, the weekly news podcast from dealspoint.com. I'm Matt and I'm joined here once again by Jonathan Lester.
Hello.
And by Carl Phillips.
Sup?
And this week, some figures got released that confirmed something we've been banging on forever. That the 3DS is amazing! Woo!
Woo! Yeah, Nintendo released their quarterly financial report, which sounds really boring, but trust me, it's not. This one's really interesting because they've made a profit. That's great. That's super awesome. Admittedly, a lot of that profit comes from something very tedious involving the depreciation of the yen and foreign investment and blah, 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 exchange gains, blah, blah, blah. But they're making a profit, they're doing fine, and that's basically down to the 3DS being sweet. And we've been saying this for ages. We've been saying the 3DS is sweet. We've been saying it's fantastic. And we've been saying that Nintendo have been making it a success, proactively going out and releasing great games for it and updating its firmware and letting you do really cool new stuff with it. And it's running rampant at the moment. They're selling millions of the things. It's got up to, what is it now, 32.5 million worldwide total sales now? Yeah, 32.48 million worldwide sales so far. That is outstanding.
It's really awesome.
That isn't that impressive. And they've sold 1.4 million just in the last 3 months. Which is pretty damn good. What's even more impressive, though, this new report shows why people are buying the 3DS, which is because the games are awesome. Like, yep. Animal Crossing New Leaf has sold, because it came out in Japan a while back, but it's now sold 5.4 million copies worldwide. It shifted like 1.5 mil just in the little bit of the month. You know, they're just like the little bit of the month when it released. Just like last month, it sold just ridiculous amounts of bank, as did Luigi's Mansion 2 and Fire Emblem, because they're sweet, so people bought them in their millions.
That makes me so incredibly happy, because Animal Crossing New Leaf, well, actually, all of the Animal Crossing is a very bizarre game to explain.
Yes, it is, because on the face of it, it should be the worst game ever made. It's a chore simulator, and yeah, you run around and sort out a town and like pull up weeds and dig and catch fish forever.
It's amazing. Just to compare that though, that's the same amount of sales, and bear in mind it hasn't been out that long at all. Isn't that the same amount of sales as one of Square Enix's big hitters posted? Like, I'm talking AAA multi-platform.
That's right.
I
think that's Tomb Raider or Hitman territory, I think. And
it's amazing.
But the difference is that Nintendo keep a much closer eye on their budgets for game development, so it means they've probably seen a return on this. Well, they've definitely seen a return on this because we've just looked through their financial reports and they're doing fine. And the reason we know that they've made a profit on Animal Crossing is because they sure as hell didn't make one on the Wii U. Because this is where the good news ends. Take home message again, go and join the millions of people who have a 3DS. And you'll know who they are because you'll walk past them and awesome stuff will happen. No other console can do that. The Wii U is... It's easy to get hyperbolic and doomsling about this, but the fact is, we've had retailers and publishers and developers and pundits since launch saying the Wii U is not selling enough. The Wii U needs to sell more. We can't get involved with it. We can't support it properly. But now we've kind of got the figures to back it up and really put that into context. Because in the last 3 months, Nintendo have only... And this is a console that came out in November. This is a console that's in its honeymoon period right now. In the last 3 months, the Wii U has sold 160,000 worldwide. That's worldwide. In Europe and the UK and Australia and New Zealand, it sold 10,000. 10,000.
That's not great.
That's not no. There's not great. Not great is when like the Xbox doesn't shift a huge number, perhaps because it only has one exclusive out this year. Not great is when, you know, a Tomb Raider sells millions and millions of copies but doesn't break even. That's not great. This is a new console selling 10,000 consoles. Only a handful of months after it came out. In the whole PAL territory.
It's bad. It's
really bad. There's
really
no way
bad.
to spin that. It is some of the worst console selling figures I have ever seen for anything. And I've had a look. I've looked back. I mean, 10,000 is like niche. There was that big fat Neo Geo console that was far too expensive that came out many, many years ago. I mean, that's the sort of territory we're looking at here. 10,000 in the whole PAL territory.
Yeah, but on top of that, like Nintendo are expecting, like they've sold 3.61 million consoles, and they're expecting to sell 9 million by April 2014.
Yeah, pull the other one, Iwata.
Off of the back of Wii Party U, which right, Super Mario 3D World. There's a preview for that up on site. Already, which does admittedly look awesome, but is based on a 3DS game. And although it will provide multiplayer and it will be out by the end of 2013, just in time for Christmas, we've said this before. It's not. We don't think it's the system seller that Nintendo really, really, really hope it's going to be. And then you've got just sort of facepalm worthy titles like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Bullshit. That's a cross between bollocks and bullshit. Bullshit. Yeah, there we go. Which I've played it. It plays exactly the same as any other Donkey Kong Country game you've ever seen in your life, apart from 3D cannons! Oh my god! Yes, you can pull stuff out the ground.
We've moaned about this before, and rightly so, because Nintendo totally prioritized the wrong games for their first year. Like, there's so many reasons why they've got to this stage. I mean, this has to be Nintendo has to hope that this is the nadir for the Wii U. Because 10,000 sold in the whole PAL territory months after launch when it should be flying off the shelves.
It's really bad.
There's no way to spin it. There's no way to spin it. And it shows that Nintendo it demonstrates in black and white what we've been saying for months, that on the Wii U front, Nintendo have fucked it. As we've seen, they've prioritised the wrong games. They've greenlit the wrong games for their first year. Rather than getting Mario Kart out and getting Super Smash Brothers out and getting a Metroid out, they greenlit Pikmin and Donkey Kong Country. What?
It's bad. Carl,
what?
Carl, you and I, we don't have Wii U's.
Yeah.
But let's imagine, hypothetically, if Nintendo had sort of switched it around and instead of releasing all their ridiculously awesome first-party games in 2014, they were releasing this year. Do you think you'd pick up a Wii U by Christmas if you had Mario Kart, if you had Bayonetta 2, and if you had
Super Smash Brothers? Super Smash Brothers,
yeah.
I would probably be more inclined. I would be having much more of a hard time than I am now trying to decide between the PS4 and the Xbox One. That'd just throw a complete spanner in the works. If those games were coming this year, yeah, it would definitely be in consideration.
Yeah.
And Matt,
that's the thing. You've just mentioned like the fact that there are 2 new consoles as well. Like,
yeah.
Just like Nintendo can't get out of their own way, but Sony and Microsoft are trying to get in their way as well, and this is causing a knock-on problem, which we saw in another news post this week, which is that Nintendo are hemorrhaging retail space.
The Wii U already has no retail presence, effectively. I mean, some game branches put their Wii U releases front and center because they realise, oh crap, a new first-party game has come out. Look, Pikmin 3, goddamn, let's put them in the window and people might buy it. God, no, we got loads of copies and loads of Wii U still in the storeroom. We might as well try and flog some. But in terms of supermarkets, yeah, they've lost a big hitter, a really big hitter, in Asda, who, they're Walmart backed. These are big guys. They are very important. They've got the big stores. They've got huge electronic and game sections too in their bigger sort of superstores. Huge electronic sections, huge game sections and entertainment sections. And they've said that they're no longer going to order in any new Wii U peripherals or consoles or games at all to any of their 550 stores. And you know what? Even the most, rose-tinted, happy-go-lucky, molly-coddling fanboy can see exactly why, because they sold 10,000 in the last 3 months in the whole of Europe and Australasia. Australasia is a cool word as well.
It is.
But, yeah. I mean, you can understand the reason why this Nintendo financial report is so important is because we can understand why Asda have done this. We can understand why Ubisoft made Rayman Legends multi-platform. Otherwise, they wouldn't sell any. Like, we can understand why EA did their turnaround after, supporting them so much. We can understand why all of this stuff is happening. We can understand why the third-party games are coming to Wii U, because why would they? Why would they come to the Wii U at the moment? They sold 10,000.
And that's the thing. After every single during every single Nintendo Direct, Iwata stands there and says, "Please understand," and now we do.
We do understand.
We really do.
And I'll tell you what I do understand. Sorry, but Iwata, but if you worked for any other software or hardware company, there would be some very serious questions being asked of you right now. Because the only reason why, well, there are 2 reasons why I feel that he isn't out on his arse right now. Well, 3 reasons, because, we love him. There is that. I love him. Bear in mind that I think he's, I love watching him in Nintendo Directs and all that. But, first of all, Japanese corporate culture, I mean, there's a lot of yes men in that. There's like executives surround themselves with an ablative screen of yes men and they all get fired. But also, they're making a profit. And that's basically it. A lot of this profit is coming from something totally beyond Nintendo's control, the depreciation of the yen, the exchange gains. But they're making a profit, so he's untouchable. And also, I'd suggest that Nintendo's European president, I would be asking, if I was a Nintendo shareholder, I would be asking some very stern questions of him as well. Because it's under his auspices that they've sold the woeful 10,001. You see what I did there? Because it's like the Wonderful 101, only it's awful.
Yeah, I'd like to point out, I was actually in a conversation with a friend yesterday, and he basically said, "Oh yeah, by the way, I was out shopping, and you'll never guess what, I actually got hands-on with a Wii U," and I was like, "Cool, what did you think?" And he was like, "It feels really good, really substantial. Like, I really like the controller. I really like the interface and everything else. And it actually feels like a really, really good console." And I was like, "Oh, right, really?" He was like, "Yeah, I wouldn't pay money for it, though." And I asked him why, and he basically went, "Well, I've got a Wii."
Oh, God, Nintendo.
I think that sums up everything.
It totally does. First of all, he's like genuinely surprised and excited that he's been able to play one.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign. And also he doesn't want to buy one, and he thinks it's a Wii U upgrade. I mean, why wouldn't he? Like,
Nintendo's marketing has actually been based around that. I'm pretty sure I saw an advert the other day that was touting the fact that you could play all of your Wii games on Wii U.
I know, they keep saying it's not a Wii U upgrade, okay? It's just a console that lets you play all your Wii games and use all your Wii peripherals and play all the same franchises, apart from the really good ones. We can't play those.
Woo!
No Metroid for you. Only Donkey Kong Country for you. So, yeah, there's been a comedy of errors getting to this point. Like, this has to be the nadir for Nintendo. This is now the sort of the sum total of all the confusion when they first released it. The fact that they weren't ready to launch it. They launched it with, that slow, sluggish OS. They launched it with a decent launch lineup, but without a killer app. It still doesn't have a killer app.
No, we
And
can't really determine whether or not Pikmin 3 fits that capacity.
no,
because-
but well, it's Pikmin 3. By all accounts, is brilliant, and I have no reason to suspect that it isn't. But it's also a niche sequel to possibly the most niche first-party Nintendo series there is. No, I don't think anyone. I've never met anyone who's bought a console for Pikmin. It's a game that, if there were, it's a game that comes out and pleases the existing install base. That is what it is. And I'm sure it's going to be brilliant at that. Problem is, it's not the game the Wii U actually needs right now. And it's not the game Nintendo really should have greenlit and diverted resources away from Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. I mean, that's not exactly how it works. There are different studios involved, but goddamn, they should have prioritized getting Mario Kart, at least one of Mario Kart or Super Smash Bros. Out for this summer.
Pikmin 3 is kind of like the inverse Batman.
You're going to have to explain that, buddy.
Because, like, you know how in Batman where it's just like, I'm not the hero Gotham deserves, but the one it needs, or whatever it is. Like, it's like the inverse of that. It's like, Pikmin 3 isn't the game that Wii U needs, but dear God, it's the one it deserves.
Yeah, that's right. And actually, that is some good news on the Wii U front. It's made it into the UK charts, which doesn't happen that often for Wii U games. Like, even at launch, none of the launch games made it into the top 10. The only game that's ever, I think, made it into the top 10 in terms of the Wii U is Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate.
Did Lego City?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't at all. But its 3DS tie-in did. Right?
Oh, God.
Oh, yes. Lego City Undercover didn't even bother the top 10, but Lego City Undercover, The Chase Begins, multiple weeks in the top 10.
Well, we've said this in the past. We've said Nintendo prop their home consoles up by sort of murking the handheld market. They did it with the DS. It happened with the GameCube. The GameCube was a fairly abject failure in terms of sales. The Nintendo 64 didn't do great when compared against Sony, but Nintendo have been rocking the handheld market for as long as we can possibly remember.
They look like the PS2 compared to the Wii U right now. Frankly. So, the only thing I'm worried about on the 3DS front is, what's coming out at Christmas? Yeah.
Well, Nintendo haven't really sort of announced much.
Exactly. So hopefully they haven't just splurged all of their games now, and they're literally at Gamescom going to come out and say, "Please understand, there's going to be no 3DS games anymore."
Well, then, are they at Gamescom?
They
won't be.
But hilariously, the UK team isn't at Gamescom, which is totally great. I don't think they're doing a huge number of actual business appointments. They do have a stand on the floor though.
Matt, why would the UK team turn up? They've sold 10,000. Nobody wants one in the UK. Why would they turn up? Oh wait, to actually sell some more. There is that.
We have to apologise as well, because we haven't brought you... Well, I understand that we haven't... Please understand. We haven't brought you reviews of Pikmin 3 or Mario and Luigi Dream Team Brothers, because Nintendo said they were going to send us some, but they've decided that they only really have 2 copies for some reason, because they're clearly not selling many.
Well, it's fine, because, A, we rag on them every week, and B, they were very kind of us to send us new Super Luigi U.
The fact that game exists in the first...
Well, it's DLC. It's an expansion pack. It's not a game.
It's just the worst thing.
It's all right. It's okay. But it's not, again, it should be just tucking into a big, fat, lovely release schedule of awesome third-party and first-party games that isn't there and won't be there because they haven't sold enough consoles and they've prioritised totally the wrong year one games. Anyway, should we talk about...
However,
yeah, I was going to say...
they are apparently going to be around for 100 years.
Yeah, according to Lorne Lanning, the luminary behind the Oddworld series, yeah, basically Nintendo are going to be around for another 10 decades. And I think of all the companies, I think they probably will be, you know? I think that Nintendo still call the shots in their own muddled, confused kind of way. They're always going to have... They've got the franchise. The key is they've got those enduring, eternal franchises, like Mario. I know it's easy to say, oh, they're rehashing the same game over and over again, even though they're not. But they've got these eternal franchises that we love that aren't going to go anywhere, even if they have to adapt what they do, if they have to change platforms, if they have to jump ship, if they have to go software only. But as we've said, in terms of the handheld market ends when Nintendo says it does. And I think, you know, they have that sticking power, and they've become so much of a pop culture icon that I don't think they ever will go away. Although, you know, whether they have to cut their losses with the Wii U is another thing entirely.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. As you say, like there are great. They have some fantastic IPs that have been around already for decades, and that they do innovate as well as iterate upon. So, you know, yeah. And as you say, like it's a really nice line that the handheld market will end when Nintendo say it does. Because just look at it. The stats are there. We've just gone through them for the last 20 minutes. The 3DS is after a shaky start, and they must learn from that. Please, Nintendo. Although you didn't with the Wii U, but we're done with that.
It's a totally different market.
The 3DS.
Well. It's really dangerous to say, oh, the 3DS did great, so just do the same thing. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that.
No, what I'm saying is they could have learned a few lessons from.
Yeah, like release some games. Oh, look, it sells.
Release some games.
Release some games.
The 3DS is amazing. And Nintendo's comments about people paying for quality games, people willing to pay a premium for quality handheld games, that is clearly being seen out. Just look at those sales for Animal Crossing. People are happy to lay down 35 quid for that.
Yeah, for sure. And will always do so long as they keep the quality up and they actually release them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably enough Nintendo, because I mean they need to sort this, and they can't sort this. We've seen now they can't sort this until 2014. So, you know, see you in 2014, and we'll chat about whether or not they've managed to do that.
Yeah. Let's talk about something that other people have been quite eager to chat about this week. Microsoft have... the rumour is that Microsoft are tipping Crackdown and Dead Rising 2 as the next Games with Gold titles.
No, it's happening now.
Oh, it's happening now.
Yeah, it's happened today, dude. It refreshes on the 1st of the month.
Oh, sweetly awesome. Right, so that's happening.
Yeah, so, you know, lots of people were saying, you know, bizarrely, that a 4-year-old XBLA game and, what was it, Assassin's Creed 2? Yeah, Assassin's Creed 2 was saying that those weren't exactly the most exciting ever free games to get, because everyone has them who wants them. So at least Dead Rising 2 is a really good kind of niche game. That's a really good choice, I feel. And Crackdown is super awesome. So hopefully they've been really tactical and have let people play the first Crackdown for free, because they're going to reveal a new one at Gamescom. Fingers crossed.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
We all saw that little orb. Phil Spencer's apparently really excited about something.
For sure. Just to fully lock this down, as of today, Crackdown is free for Xbox Live Gold members. Dead Rising 2 and Case Zero, it's actually really awesome DLC. There's almost sort of prelude / demo. It came out first. They're both going to be free on August 16th. And they're both worth playing. Like, play Case Zero first, if I were you.
It's really good.
It's really good. Reviews on site. Go check it out.
Little question. What games would you guys like to see following this? Because Nintendo, no. Microsoft.
Yeah, I was going to say loads of Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Microsoft never had like the sort of. They've never enjoyed the sort of in-house exclusives, the range of in-house exclusives that that Sony have very carefully cultivated over the years. But they've got a few that I'd really quite like to see on the service. I'd like to see Lost Odyssey on the service just because, well, it's really good.
Yeah.
It came on 4 discs, so God only
Dragon
knows how big that download would be.
Yeah, right.
What would you guys like to see?
Mate? They could do a JRPG double whammy and hide it behind.
Blue Dragon was 3 discs, wasn't it? That's
yeah, it was 2 or 3. I forget which because I got bored 3/4 of the way through.
You'd need a fat hard drive for that.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I would like to see some more Xbox Live Arcade titles. Actually, I'd like to see things like at some point Dust and Elysian Tale. I'd like to see perhaps Limbo or perhaps even Super Meat Boy or something like that. Maybe Braid. Just a few sort of just cool Xbox Live Arcade games from slightly smaller studios that can maybe do with a bit of a resurgence in publicity. I mean, God knows Bastion might be a good idea. You know, just something, some smaller stuff to complement the bigger games that everyone clearly already has. Perhaps some slightly more niche stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Carl. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was basically just going to agree. I think that's the only way they can go, really, because as we've said, that everybody has the bigger titles. Although, admittingly, I will be downloading Crackdown and Dead Rising 2 because I haven't played either of them.
Awesome. So that's good then.
Yeah.
We've seen a few people saying that as well. They are much more niche in terms of. They're both great as well.
Yeah,
Crackdown
admittingly,
especially.
although that said, not to take away from Microsoft's thunder, but I have already downloaded pretty much 3 of the 4 PlayStation Plus games for this month, plus the other games from the previous months that I haven't played. So, you know, it will be adding to a ridiculous backlog. And this is the thing, like, I'd just like to point out that at least with PlayStation Plus, there is at least 1 game per month that I am going to download. And I think that's what Microsoft needs to tap into. They need to have at least 1 game during the case of the month that people will want to play. And as you said, John, I think it is the downloadable titles that they're going to have to go for to get that.
Yeah, I mean, there's especially the one they need to bring out right now is a game developed in conjunction with Microsoft Studios by Fifth Cell called Hybrid. Came out last year in the summer of Arcade. It was really good. Nobody bought it because it came out a week before Counter-Strike came out. So, for God's sake, Microsoft Studios, make that free. Yeah. Refresh that multiplayer community. Do it now. Why the hell not do it? Just, you know, my 2 cents.
I agree. Well it would be an interesting way of sort of boosting multiplayer communities in that respect. But also, like, we've moaned that the last year or 2 of Summer of Arcade has been fairly balls. So this is a perfect opportunity to revive the classics from sort of like 4 or 5 years ago. Things like Shadow Complex, which just fucking blew my mind when I played. It was so awesome, that game. I've already mentioned like Limbo, but stars from the vaults, and supplement, as you say, the 2 big games with those smaller titles, because XBLA is amazing. I was about to say was amazing. It still is amazing. You can still get all of that awesome stuff on there, and people need to be reminded of that because the current dashboard doesn't really assist.
No. And it's a shame because it's brilliant and some of the best games of this generation are on there.
I also wonder if we'll see a Forza title hit it, because ahead of the Xbox One launch, and we know Forza 5 is going to be on there, it would make sense to say, oh, look at what Turn 10 can do. Just imagine this next gen.
Yeah, but you'll be playing it, it's like, this is pretty good now. It's free now. It's free and I'm playing it now. And it's just going to be the same but shinier with drivatars. But yeah, I mean, it couldn't hurt. It's an exclusive franchise. I mean, why not? Maybe not bring... Yeah, maybe... I think Forza Horizon maybe might be a good call for that.
That'd be a good call.
It's a bit new. I mean, they need to look at those sales figures and see if it's selling. If it's still selling, they won't do it. But if it's, you know, if there's a real lull, Forza Horizon is a very different game in terms of feel to the core Forza franchise and what Forza 5 will feel like. So that couldn't be a bad idea.
Nope.
No. And also, just bring us awesome games. More awesome games, please. that I don't have.
Also, it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, with Assassin's Creed 2, they're leveraging third parties. It'd be interesting to see what happens there with sort of like further third parties. We've got Capcom here on Dead Rising 2. Whether we'll start seeing newer games, because we've seen those on PS Plus. So, yeah, keep them going.
Yeah, I think EA. I think I don't think you've got anything to lose by putting Fuse on there right now. I'm just gonna put it out there. You might as well stick Fuse on there.
Abuse the Fuse.
Abuse that Fuse. Use the Fuse. And yeah, people might play it.
We're running out of time. So do we want to talk about the beerfish?
Oh yeah, Fez 2 isn't happening. Loads of people got very immature, and Cliffy B wants him back for good.
Okay, so that's...
Cause Phil Fish was a bit of a dick to a guy called Beer. He just wants you back for good. Wants you back. Oh, Fish wants you back for good. Yeah, so, look, yeah, Phil Fish...
I'm shaking my head right now.
Yeah, so it's all a bit depressing. Phil Fish said to him, you know, the creator of Fez, Phil Fish is a very outspoken guy. You know, media member called Beer got on his grill. Things were said. Things got heated. Then he threw all his toys out the pram and said, "I'm not making Fez 2 anymore." Yeah, everyone's either criticizing him or trolling him or defending him to the hilt. And everyone needs to just chill out, because if he doesn't want to make Fez 2, that's fine. I mean, I'd rather let's get that patch out first, mate. How about that? How about you release that patch,
No, he's done with the video game industry.
Thanks, mate.
So, yeah,
right. Mm-hmm.
Us Fez fans can
sweet
lose us.
Well, all right then.
So yeah, that happened. Which is another facepalm moment for the industry after death threats over a fucking virtual gun. Elsewhere, what have we got elsewhere? Michael Bean, Mr. Bean.
Yeah, Michael Bean.
Didn't have any fun working on Aliens.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. Aliens Colonial Marines was a soulless mess, and that was reflected in its developers being passionate drones. He didn't mention, of course, whether or not he went to Timegate to record all the dialogue. But on the flip side, recording the voice acting for Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon was totally awesome, because they actually were passionate about making a really fun game. It's funny that. It's funny how one game was really good and was developed by people who are passionate about it, and the other game sucked and was also being developed by people who really didn't give a damn. Interesting correlation, I feel there.
So Dealsbone top tip, follow your passion.
Yeah, passionate and happy developers make better games. We know this.
This is true.
This is how it's always worked.
This is why Google have hammocks and like ball pits.
Yeah.
Wish we had a ball pit. That'd be lovely. Anyway, last thing I want to touch on before we go, some recent sort of revelations about KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, and Obsidian recently did a podcast with Eurogamer discussing ideas, things they might have wanted to add to KOTOR 2, because as we know, the sort of development time on that game was cut short. Frustratingly, that game could have just been the fucking tits. And interestingly, revealing some tidbits about pre-production plans for Knights of the Old Republic 3, which made me cry almost with frustration. Like, there are some great ideas in there.
Really good ideas, really big, really fat, juicy ideas, and you'd probably play as Revan again, and it'd be super awesome, and there'd be this amazing new faction.
You just go to the heart of this sort of like these incredibly powerful Force users who've just taken over distant reaches of the galaxy, and like, have an entire Sith empire out there.
And HK-47 would ride around on your back.
I want it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as Chris Avallone said, they pitched it, and then nobody took it.
Probably because they were using all of the ideas that would be used in SWTOR, kind of. Sort of.
Possibly.
Because it's kind of like, I mean, talking about going off into like the Sith Empire. I mean, that's the whole point of the Old Republic. The Sith Empire comes to the Republic, so chances are LucasArts probably saw it and went, it's kind of going against what we're doing with BioWare.
We're just going to nick all those ideas. But this was before the PS3 and the Xbox 360 even came out. That they were doing this.
Oh, it could be that then. Yeah, I don't know.
But even so, it would be really low if LucasArts was just like, we love these ideas, so we're going to have them, and fuck off. I patent this. So, yeah. That's really depressing, and we want it. And Obsidian are apparently still pitching a Star Wars game, and I hope it's that.
I'm just excited for whatever they're pitching live.
Yeah, for sure.
Just give them free reign.
Agreed.
And don't cut their development like heinously short.
No. Well, hopefully they bring it to Wii U, whatever it is.
For those 10,000 consoles sent to the EU.
Absolutely.
Oh god. Oh god. Right. No. I need a stiff one after that.
Eh?
What?
Drink.
What?
Okay.
Nintendo's depressed me too much.
I see.
I'm gonna go off and have a whiskey.
Drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly.
Or not if you're a Wii U owner, because there's none of you out there. Perhaps we can like wrangle them up and put them in a warehouse. John, you can join them.
You want to round all of the... Wait, who are we rounding up and putting in a warehouse?
The Wii U owners, like you can like have them. You could like have a convention for them all because there's so few.
We'll call it the stiff one. It'll be awesome.
The Wii U Zoo.
Yeah.
You want to round up a bunch of depressed Wii U owners, stick them in cages, and feed them booze?
Yes.
Okay.
I've heard worse business ideas.
Yeah. So, we could do a Kickstarter for it. We haven't done one of those in a while.
Help
us fund the Wii U Zoo. That's what we want. Send in all your money. The Wii
hang on. That
Zoo.
means I'm going to have to be in the Wii U Zoo and getting drunk.
You could be the warden of the Wii Zoo.
Yeah. Basically, and then people can come with their 3DSs and street pass past the people who were locked up in the Wii U Zoo. So
I think that's a genius idea. I think I'd just stand there and just people form an orderly queue, street pass past me. I get all their puzzle pieces.
Yeah, and then when they speak to you about the Wii U, you can start crying. It's all there. This makes money. Sells itself.
So what we'll also do is we'll collect all the tears and bottle them and sell them.
That might be a bit weird, but we can discuss it. But that could be a stretch goal. We have to buy the bottles, so yeah.
A little memento. Yeah, because people can take them home. Visitors to the Wii Zoo can take them home. They'll have a memento of their time at the Wii Zoo. What?
Yeah, Matt, that's a terrible idea. I wouldn't go with that.
Yeah, Matt, I'm sorry. I'm really not. I don't think you're. I think you're totally off base with that one, mate.
Yeah, too far, Matt. Too far.
It's I appreciate the input, but it's not. It's not you. It's not right.
Matt. It's not Wii U.
And
on that bombshell.
On that stiff one.
We'll catch you next time. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Bye. Have a good weekend.
Keep it stiff.